And we're live.
I don't know, a laptop especially, like something like that. Like if I was doing work with a laptop at work and then I needed to bring that home to finish up or to like handle work emails and stuff, I would definitely carry a messenger bag.
Yeah, those satchels are handy.
I did that for a little bit. I used to have a job where I carried my laptop all the time. And for a while I had a messenger bag, but then I realized, like, for me, it was just a big, bulky laptop carrier. And I also had a nice pen in it. And everything else was just, I don't know, crap and extra weight.
Extra because you happen to have a messenger bag.
I ended up just carrying my laptop like it was a book. And that's how I walk around with it.
Yeah. And I do that way more than using the bag also.
People would be like, what if you drop it? Well, then they get me a new one. It's practically a good thing. The more often I break these, the quicker I get replacements.
Yeah. And if I'm walking around and I just drop my laptop, I deserved it. What was I doing?
Have you ever dropped? Here's a good question. What's the most expensive thing you've ever dropped?
Dropped.
Good question.
Fuck.
I know mine, so I'll go first. I was walking down the steps of my father's home when I was maybe 13 years old, maybe 14, and I had a Remington 1187 shotgun. It's about an $1,100 shotgun, and I tripped on the front step. And it's all brick and then concrete at the bottom.
Oh, no.
And I had two options. I could either throw the shotgun and break my fall with my hands, or I could let my elbows and forearms eat. And it's not smooth concrete. Don't think that concrete that they've buffed like in your garage. It's that prickly, really rough concrete that's supposed to be stippled. It's either eat my elbows off my body and probably break them, or throw the $1,100 shotgun. And I threw that bitch, and it was beautiful. It was it was
Was it scratched to shit?
It fucked it up. Fucked it up. I felt so bad.
What did your dad say?
What are you gonna do?
Oh, that was accept.
I figured out mine. All right. So first of all, it's the back stairs in my Apex house. If you guys could picture, I had a deck off the back, and there were deck stairs. They're wooden, and there was maybe 10 or 12 of them that led to the grass. All right, so take that image, put it aside. And while not traditionally expensive, when Hope was like 2, we used to do this game where she'd throw her head back like this. Hold on, I unplugged my headset. She'd throw her head back like that, and I'd sort of catch it and do this dip with her.
Oh God.
But she's 2 and doesn't really realize that I need to be aware we're about to play this game.
Oh no.
So I'm holding her like she's sitting on my forearm, on my hip or something, and she just bails, goes off the back, tumbles down the wooden stairs. And I'm like, oh no. I broke my daughter, and she's crying. She's hysterical. And I'm half worried she's hurt. I'm half worried about what her mother's going to think. And she turned out okay, as far as I know. I don't know what her future would have been, but that's the worst thing I've ever dropped.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Do you have one, Bruce? Can you think of the most expensive, valuable thing?
I'm like Taylor, where like for me, I don't really have. If it's really expensive, I'm not going to drop it. People have always said, like with my phone, they're always like, "Why don't you put a case on it? You're going to drop it." I'm like, "Nah, I won't." I have dropped one phone in the course of having 10 years of phones.
I dropped many phones.
Yeah, see, I never do that. I never drop my phone. It's very, very rare. So that was probably the most expensive thing. However, I have a better story of something that I was very careless with and shouldn't have been. It was a 65-inch Samsung, really nice plasma television that I paid top dollar for. It was like $3,500. This was a few years ago, and we were moving this television from one apartment to another, and I was driving the moving truck, and I was like, and it was a very light load, but the television was in the back. I was aware of it, and there were speed bumps into the new apartment. And I drive in, and I'm in a rush, and I'm like, fuck it. Like, this thing's not going to fall over. I go over the speed bump, no big deal, right? Go over another speed bump. I was like, it's no big deal. And, pull over, start unloading. And somebody comes to me, one of the friends that was helping move, he goes, "Hey, man, your television's broken." And I was like, "What do you mean broken?" And he's like, "It looks like it's cracked literally all the way across the entire. And I went out, and it looked like somebody had hit it with a baseball bat. Like it had fallen over flat on the moving truck, and I pulled it up, and it was just beyond repair.
That's when you go get that renter's insurance, and then
I fucking blew it.
And then commit insurance fraud.
Yeah.
I had the opposite experience.
That's when you commit insurance fraud.
Hypothetically.
My family had a regular CRT television. These are the thick ones with the tubes. They're like cubes. And plasma TVs were just coming into being a thing, but they were crazy expensive, like super expensive. And we spent like most of our excess cash on Colin and his medical stuff. But my friend had one, and there was a purple line across it, and he was selling it for cheap. It was like $500 instead of $1,500. And he's like, it's purple line. Like it doesn't bother me, but my wife doesn't like it. Like there's no deception here. But if you want this TV, it's a third of what a new one would be. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm in. Like I'll do it.
How big was the line, and like where was it on there? Like very bottom, little.
It was about 1/3 through and vertical, I'm told, because somewhere in the like shaking and like the drive home, maybe it was the carrying it, we put it up, it was fixed. There was no purple line. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if he had just like racked it or twisted it or shook it a little, it would have fixed it.
Looking out for Woody. I like that story.
Yeah.
It's a great story. Oh man, that's awesome.
I was going to go the same direction as you, Woody. You were talking about hope. I was going to say, I mean, I definitely accidentally hurt my brother a good bit. One that Bruce, you picking up the TV, looking at it broken and putting it back. So I was maybe 4. My brother was 2, and we were going to look at a house to get a new house. My mom was there, the realtor was there, and everything. And we're in this. To me, as a 4-year-old, it felt like the biggest living room ever. It was probably not very big, but it was a long kind of chute-looking living room, and it was it was enough for a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old to get a running start. And I was like, hey, last one of the fireplaces, rotten egg or whatever. And so I sprint towards, and it's like not a brick fireplace. It's like those jagged, big rocks, like those big, white, jagged slate rocks, this thick, very textured, very nice. And I get there and I tag it, as I knew I was going to win because I was twice his age and could walk better. And he was still working on walking. I was running. And I look back and I see my fat little brother doing like the waddling as fast as he can. And he did it in the way where, like, if you ever tried to run downhill and halfway through the run, you're like, I'm going to eat shit. My feet can't keep up with the momentum. He maybe 3 feet out started and came down on the corner with his forehead right on the corner of that. And he starts screaming, and it scared me so much. This is like ingrained in my head. I will never forget this visual. I was like, I grabbed the back of his hair and pulled his head up, and it was just blood everywhere. And I remember after that, because my parents, or my mom and the realtor were in the basement by that point, I put his head back on the fireplace and then went, Mom! And she ran up. She's like, Taylor, what did you do? And he was bleeding so much. I remember she put him in the car. I'm in the car. We had to go to the hospital. And I pulled my legs up onto the seat because he was bleeding so much. In my head, I was like, this car is going to fill with blood. And I just got brand new light up sneakers. And I don't want my sneakers to get ruined. But he's okay. He's got a scar from it, but it's not even noticeable anymore. So yeah, there was a time this was mean. I tied him up and put him in a wagon and pushed him down a very steep hill, and he happened to run into a tree. I didn't point him at the tree at all. And then he flew and kind of hit his head on that also. But that was probably the most I injured.
Parenting tip, because I think a lot of our listeners will be parents in the next 5 or 6 years. If you find yourself in that situation, you're taking your kid with a facial injury to the ER room, ask for a plastic surgeon. That's what you do. They will, by default, just have like whoever's on call at the ER fix your child's face. But,
hey, where's Shaky Mike at?
right?
I gotta get over here. Fuck right over here.
No more practicing on oranges for you. Here's Woody's child. Try her forehead. Yeah, no. They'll get a real deal plastic surgeon in there, and they'll put tiny little stitches in it. The same thing happened to Hope. It was a very similar situation, and We did that, and it turned out to be a good decision.
Yeah, well, I know that now to ask for the plastic surgeon. That's something that never would have crossed my mind in a million years, especially if you're in a high stress situation with a kid where you're probably MO is just like, get him fixed ASAP.
Yeah. Well, I hope I helped a parent or two out. Well, maybe I hope I didn't help a parent or two. I don't know how to phrase that. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but if it does.
Yeah, I hope when your kid's face gets fucked up. I did.
Yeah.
I can't think of any like really expensive items I broke. I remember like when I was younger, leaving hockey stuff at a rink, like expensive goalie pads at the rink, and even for like a kid, those are like $600-700.
Did you get them back?
Yeah, thank God, because we got like 20 minutes back from the rink, and I was like, Dad, I forgot my goalie pads, and he was like, what? I was so scared. It was the longest 20 minutes of my life for him to whip around and go back, and it was some podunk bullshit rink that we hardly ever went to, and so I was like, this is going to be stolen. Thank God we found him, because I would have been, he would have probably just been like, well, those were your pads. That's the end of your season. Like,
that's a difficult decision as a parent to make. Like, yeah, we teach Colin, like, take good care of your things, because if you break them, you won't have them anymore. Mm-hmm. But we don't follow through with that every time, like, oh, but you broke it, so I guess we'll get you a better one.
Get you a better one.
Yeah, wow. I'm thinking electronics in my head or something. Like, all right, well, I guess you'll get the latest iPad now.
Oh, yeah.
That'll teach him.
When he starts accidentally tripping down the stairs with his GPU in his hand. Whoa! I ran over my computer with the lawnmower.
These things happen.
Yeah.